All right. So when we talked, I don't know, a couple weeks ago.
Um, yeah, that
Where
was
are you at
two
right now?
weeks.
Are you coming out of that kind of relapse?
I definitely am coming. Like that was just. I think I just had to go so low and so hardcore that it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It kind of switched something where I just kind of. I don't know. I've been, yeah, definitely out of like upset, freaking out over him and her and checking
Yeah.
them and
I think that was so awesome for you. It was like a reality check around how much you'd actually let him go. Don't you think?
you mean how much I've let it go or not let it go?
That's what I meant. Like, it gave you an idea of how much where you were at in that relationship and really letting it go. And actually, to me, it was like a good comparison to see why he was so important, like what it is that triggered it. Them being
Yeah,
happy made your life negative. Just I don't know. It's like you're getting your bearings around that relationship, even though it's been over for a year.
yeah,
Where it hasn't been over emotionally. Physically it's been over, but the emotional um, benefit you got from that
yeah. And
relationship. So.
I think I was in denial. Like it was too much for me to like handle. And seeing, I would just sort of look at it and then tuck it away and be like, I'm fine. I better. I'd like try to intellectualize.
Yeah, that doesn't work when it really comes down to it. You'll find, and I found for myself, I go into the truth of the vulnerability. You'll learn that when you do that first, it's almost like grieving ahead of time so that you don't have to control everything, to make sure you don't have to, right?
Yeah, God, yeah,
It's so
that's so
much easy.
amazing.
It's so easy. It's the best thing ever. It's like just go into your bullshit ahead of time. Even in just dating, don't you think? It's like you're gonna get abandoned, you're gonna get rejected. That's not a boohoo glass half empty. It's am I gonna be okay if that happens? Because if you're not gonna open yourself up to the vulnerability without. So either one, you're not gonna open yourself up to it, or two, you'll open yourself up to it with a fucking ton of strings attached. Tons of
Yeah.
bias, tons of controllingness, you know.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And really what you're doing is you're securing yourself from within so that your relationships don't have they're not self-serving for that reason, right? You don't want to be selfish in a relationship so that person, whoever it is, whether it's a girlfriend, a boyfriend, or whatever relationship, isn't fulfilling some void you're refusing to fulfill yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it just felt like, like the truth. I couldn't keep the lid on the kettle anymore, and it just fucking blew,
Yeah.
and
Ah!
it was so painful. I
Oh.
just
Yeah.
and so I don't know. I just take it a day at a time.
Yeah.
I don't say like I'm done. I'm over that. It's like no, that can fucking come around again. And
Yeah, so address it here and now. Where are you at? Really?
it's
Yeah, face
um,
it. That
yeah,
this was something I did that was also visualizing the worst case scenario, like with my body image, for example. So not only am I not going to just sit there and hope I don't gain, I'm going to go in my head as if it's true, as if I'm asking it to happen or calling on it to get that big. Then I had to go through, well, what if everybody thinks I'm inferior and sucky and dumb? Even my parents and siblings think I'm the worst child. I'm an embarrassment to everybody. So I went into that space and went into, is it worth my freedom? I think that's also really important. It's not just can I handle it, because you do need to ask if you can handle it. Is it worth the freedom of just being truthful about who you are really? Because if we were to simplify this, that's what this whole thing is about. Am I free to be the truth of me? Or do I have to conform to what is approved of by, predictably approved of, so that someone can approve of me, right?
yeah,
Am I approvable at the truth and the core of, like, the truth of me? Is it approvable? Is this life approvable? If it's not, then you have to kind of accommodate to what someone else will approve of. If you're not self-approving unconditionally, right? That's the key. That's the key. Because you can say, I'm approving when these conditions are met. So you're really not self-approving, you're condition approving, right? Under those conditions. You got to get to a place where you're approvable even if you're, just the worst case, like think of all the physical things that could happen. That doesn't really change the truth of who you are, right? I remember, I know this is all, it always kind of comes across when I know I'm about to tell you something that's from my perspective of how I figured this out. It always sounds so morose and horrible, but it really desensitized for me that part of my brain that's just like your part of your brain, right? My animal brain. It's the same brain. I have the same thing attached.
Yeah.
How did I get it so like desensitized to worry and having to adapt to people, having to want someone to love and approve of me? How did I do that? Yeah. So what my example is, that's so, like, all right, I'm going to make myself look horrible, is I actually remember thinking, what if someone murders me? Like, what if I am, in fact, murdered? Well, they cannot take my soul. They can have the body, but the soul, these things came to me in a very, I don't know this open space of awareness. And it was like, oh, if someone asked me, I'm going to take your fingers. I'm going to shave your head. I'm going to poke out your eyeballs. I went into just accepting all of it to the point where someone wants to take my life. I can either allow it, and if I refuse, I am their slave, right? Basically, I don't want to be someone's slave anymore. So I can always, I think this came to me actually in the out of body where I was aware I could choose to die. It was pretty crazy. And I remember thinking, oh, I could actually choose to die at any point. If someone wants to take the body, I can hand them the body. They cannot take the life source of whatever I am. Even if I'm making it up, it's like I have a sense of autonomy at all times. So the worst case scenario is I'm getting murdered, brutally murdered. I don't have to fight. I don't have to negotiate. I could just surrender and accept that this is my time to come. Think about how much easier that would be.
I mean, obviously, you obviously would fight for your life, but if it became clear that you were fucked. I can surrender. You got it. You're smart. You're a little wildcat. You wouldn't be that easy to take down, I don't think.
Not at the beginning, of course, but there's a point at which you agree. I mean, you're right. There's a point at which, though, you know ahead of time there's no guarantee. You know ahead of time there's no guarantee. So whether I choose to fight or run or surrender, I'm okay dying either way. So the risks of running away and getting caught, the risks of, being paralyzed and trying to blend into the background and getting caught, the risk of running after them and trying to stab their eyeballs out, ultimately the risk is death either way. So if I'm willing to go to the worst case scenario, right, which is I'm caught either direction I go, then they're going to dismember my body. I can leave my body at any point and they can have it. I'll give the body to them. What do they get? They get a freaking carcass that's going to end up rotting and smelling horribly.
Thank God.
Right? They can have that. So you see how I go down into this oh, well then if the time comes, that's the worst case scenario. Am I okay if someone thinks I'm ugly? You see how easy that becomes once you kind of go up from that part of the brain that's wired for survival mode, right?
Yeah.
And you work yourself up, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, I get cancer. Okay.
Well, yeah, yesterday I went to the doctor for this knee of mine. It's just like in the last couple of weeks, just gotten really painful and progressively worse. And last Sunday it was pretty rough. It was like, I don't know, I guess I've been literally looking my mobility, in the face of it feels like it's being held on by a string. And trying to like go out and do errands and like, you know, prepare for this fun night with the girls. And it was like I was just like, you know, I was so drained by the end of the day, just mentally just trying to walk around the store and like get to the car. Like, fuck, I'm not gonna, like, it was just bad, you know. So I didn't know what it was. I went to the doctor and she, you know, she thinks it's arthritis. So she's referred me to an MRI.
Yeah, they'll find out with the MRI what's going on. The MRI is going to let them know what's really going on. You know, if you've got degeneration, all sorts of stuff. So that'll help kind of get you to understand what it is.
Yeah, and then, you know, make a plan. Like, I'm not powerless. There's things I can do. And,
yeah.
But it's just, I mean, it was definitely, it's kind of, I'm a little bit shook, you know, it just, I don't know, I've just been just kind of freaked out about it. Just, I guess, just like I'm 52 and I don't know. I just want to be able to get around. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just.
Well, what can you do about it?
I'm just kind of freaking out a little bit about it.
Well, let's go into the worst case scenario.
It's just scary.
Well, the worst case scenario is scary, right?
Yeah, just my life would just come to a halt if I can't. You know, I walk dogs.
Yeah. Well, let's go into this for a second. What's the worst case scenario? Because that's what you're scared of. It's not reality. You're not scared of reality. You're just scared of the worst case scenario. So just recognize that. Fear doesn't come. Yeah. Fear comes if it's in reality. It's your. I can't handle it. There's that, right? So let's just say reality is scary. Where fear comes from your inner assessment of capacity, right? Can I handle this reality? You know, can I handle filing bankruptcy, losing my house, having to move? Can I handle, you know, getting hit by a car, losing a limb? Can I handle aging? Can I handle multiple bulging discs? Can I handle my eyesight going shitty? Can I handle gray hair? You know, the layers and layers of the physicality of the body. My mother-in-law just got a total hip replacement because she handled that. Took her years of horrible pain to finally decide I'd rather do this than die like that in horrible pain, right? So worst case scenario, you need a knee replacement.
Yeah.
Right? You kind of go into, because you're still really young and there's so many options for you. You could be taking glucosamine. There's all sorts of supplements. So when I had to deal with my back issue, which I still do every day I have osteoarthritis. I have terrible bulging herniations and all sorts of problems go up into my neck. Every single day it's painful. Every single day I feel it. What can I do? Besides first accept that, okay, this is my physical ailment. This is it. Yeah. You know, my left knee has a bucket tear in the meniscus from playing so much volleyball, and I think I tore it in college. So that bucket tear flaps up sometimes, and I can't walk at all. I cannot move my knee. So I have to do this weird stretch in public to kind of see if I can get it back in place if I get caught. So what I'm telling you is that none of this is a big deal. However, it's only not a big deal to me because I've accepted the reality of the body I'm in as it is. It doesn't mean that I don't go to yoga. It doesn't mean I don't stretch. It doesn't mean I don't take glucosamine. It doesn't mean I don't do those things, but I'm ultimately accepting the worst case scenario ahead of time. So the pressure is off of the reality I'm in. So I'm more accepting. And what that allows me is to not, one, go into the victim martyr, poor me, my life sucks, horror, which is what it sucks. That's a horrible place to live. But it also allows me to just be present with my life instead of being present with my poor me story, which everybody could have, right? So in this case, it's not a matter of you should go get an MRI. You shouldn't get it looked at. You shouldn't see what your options are, right?
Yeah.
This is part of I guess maybe this is what you need to experience to really go through an acceptance. You're clearly not accepting of it, right? This is what having a body feels like. My poor dog, he's 6 years old. I can tell he's arthritic all over his joints. You know, what do you do? And this is where dogs are awesome examples. My other friend's dog got hit by a car. They died. They brought him back. Caught his arm. Her front arm is totally gone. So she has only one front arm. It's amazing how they just don't care. right?
Yeah.
They just are like, well, I'm still in love with you.
I'm like, I'm a dog.
I'm like, dogs are superior to humans. I think, when do we realize that we're not above a dog? Like, they're so amazing. They're such good, oh my God. And I was cutting chicken and I almost chopped off my thumb, my whole entire, like, think of all the physical problems that every human body can have in a lifetime. Diarrhea, nausea. Every time I have wine, I'm like worried about nausea, right? So much that you have to really look at and ask if this is this life's ailment, can you handle it? Now go to the worst case scenario, because that's kind of where your fear is, and that's what I would do. So I'm giving you the instruction of what I would do in this, right? Go into, what is my biggest fear? Worst case scenario. That it's clearly there, because otherwise you wouldn't have the fear and anxiety about it, right?
Yeah.
That anxiety manifests when there is a perception of danger. Where's your danger point? Where is it coming from? And you listed a couple, like, I walk dogs for a living. Maybe I'm going to have to, what am I going to do?
And I can't do my beautiful hike that I love so much. So the doctor's like, no, you shouldn't do that. You need to ride the bike. It's like, okay, I've got to go to the gym and sit on the bike and be inside. And
are you okay with that? Is that a bad thing?
I just adjust, and maybe, it doesn't mean, I'm just trying to tell myself, it doesn't mean I'll never be able to do running again, just that right now I can't do it. And,
so just so that we don't get caught up in the, like, minutia detail.
Yeah.
Look at your reaction. Okay, just observe your response.
My response was definitely, like, fear, and then a little bit, then some shame, because all the information, lose weight, and she was kind of a bitch to me.
Well, you've done that so many times, and it's created an eating issue that created the weight problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know what to tell you other than you can try to do that again. Good luck. You can, but it could be really easy for you, but I'm not sure is it really going to make a difference? Or is it really worth whatever you're going to have to do to keep it off? Who knows? What if you could lose weight, but your body is going to constantly gain it back no matter what you do? So it's like, what's the best thing for you to do at this point? Should we not address your cognitive distortion around it and just go right into weight loss? Which is fucking funny to me, but because most people have no idea. When they like a doctor comes and they look at you and you know what they're thinking? What a low piece of scum who doesn't take care of herself, and now she's got problems, and now she's complaining about it. That's the attitude, I'm assuming.
Well, she's like a very large woman, and
that does not matter. She can still be offensive.
Like, she was like, oh, I can't really see if it's swollen because of your weight. I'm like,
that's when I go somewhere else, because that type of, like, bullshit is wrong. No one should be treated that way. That type of shaming is so common in the medical industry.
Yeah.
And what they don't get is that type of shaming is exacerbating issues with food for people. You won't go to a doctor. That type of, like, I'm about to get shamed and judged by someone I'm seeking help from. How's that going to work out in the long run? Right? That's terrible. She's clueless.
And I'm sort of, I just was like, whatever.
You probably held your tongue. At that moment, I would have said, you realize that every time I've tried to lose weight, it exacerbates an eating disorder. That's why I'm this big.
I actually had shared that with her last time, and she's like, oh, I remember you. Because she had sort of said, well, I have to mention your weight another time.
Yeah.
And I had said, I'd kind of shared with her. I said, yeah, I'm just, it's all the diet. I've had to stop dieting. All the dieting is what kind of got me here, and I'm just trying to accept myself, and I'm working with this great woman that's and she just was sort of like, oh, she didn't really hear that. And
okay.
So I just sort of,
okay, so let's cut through let's get some clarity. The first thing I'm going to suggest you do is really go into what's the worst case scenario, because we don't know if there's anything you can do. Okay. We don't know. Think of all the ailments I have. We can blame it on your weight. You know, that's the funny fucking thing. If I went to a doctor and I was 100 pounds overweight, they would blame all of my problems on my weight.
Yeah.
You know that, right? Right now, every ailment I have would be blamed on weight.
That's true, yeah.
The fact that my body...
on top of all my paperwork, it's just all, if you're overweight,
totally.
Lose weight.
That is so archaic thinking. They're so fucking archaic.
What if I could?
They're not up to date. They don't have all the knowledge, and they, you know what? They're not trained in this type of stuff. They should, if they are. And there are people who train the medical community in this. That's where I've pulled so much of my information, and is the studies done to educate the medical community on how they've attributed to the problem significantly with their fucked up attitude, right? So,
I mean, weight loss would help my knee. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
How do you know that? If it's degenerative? How do you know that? It's like, would you get my point? That's why I'm like, that's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
At all.
It's not worth, I'm not, you know, I was like, God, I wish I was healthy in my mind and I could just go, oh, I'll do a round.
Yeah, and you could. You could. And that's the truth. This is, to me, why the protocol is so awesome. It is a great solution for people who don't have this victim positionality all the time. Right?
Yeah.
Especially with their body, right? The problem is, so you can see it simply, the problem right now is because you're such a martyr and victim because of it. When you lose weight, you're going to have problems with food after the fact.
Yeah.
It's like, so how are you going to get out of this if you cannot change your boohoo mentality about life in general? Right?
And yeah, there's definitely, you know, like arthritis is just such a, it's like, wow, I'm going to really be out of the closet. Like if I imagine meeting a guy or meeting like, oh, I have arthritis.
So do I have arthritis. I have arthritis in my left knee. It radiates all the way up into my left hip. I have arthritis all over my neck. I have almost bone on bone in my sacrum and lower back. Is that something?
Oh my God, Robin,
what the fuck
terrible.
are you judging it for?
Yeah.
Like, should I be embarrassed of myself right now, like you are? Should I be embarrassed? Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed that I have arthritis. Is that really worthy of embarrassment? You're embarrassed about a body.
You're younger and thinner, so.
And I have more ailments than you. So just think about it. Is this worthy of embarrassment? I don't care if you're 300 pounds or 150 pounds of muscle. I don't fucking care. Why is that something to be ashamed of? That is so narcissistic when you consider you're ashamed of having a body. A body that is aging. And so think about what you believe. These are your beliefs. You internalize these. So you're not going to recover until you, I mean, I'm over here going, what the fuck? You have to do this for yourself. I hate being the bad guy over here. You got to be able to say, why am I believing in this so much that I just live in festering pity? I can't go, oh, it's so embarrassing. You're not even questioning that thought. Is this worth embarrassment?
I think, I'm just like letting it all hang out.
Good. And this is how you...
It's like I can intellectualize that. Well, I know this, and I can be a good little student, and it's just like, no,
you need to hear, you need to listen to me.
Yeah.
You need to just listen to what I'm telling you right now. What is it going to take for you to actually question this bullshit? What is it going to take? You didn't even question shame about arthritis. Like what you just said, spewed out, and it's true. And I'm glad you brought it up. But it's like, why are you questioning that? That's like, let's do it. Start questioning. If you really want to recover, you need to question shit like that. You really have to investigate.
I mean, I do question it, and I question all of it, but it's like,
hold on a second.
Bubbles up.
So you're questioning that thought, and you're telling me that you have questioned it, and you believe that if anybody who is overweight has arthritis should feel ashamed of themselves, and they should be embarrassed to talk about it.
Well, to me, it's just one more step towards the end, which is that I'm just that hideous blob.
Question. Answer the question.
Oh, what was the question?
Yeah, you need not even listening to me. Answer the question. Are you telling me that you questioned the concept that fat people should be ashamed of themselves because they have ailments? And you believe it still, to the point where you're still holding on to it. Like, oh yeah, that's true. They should be ashamed of themselves. I'm ashamed of myself. I'm embarrassed that if I go on a date, I'm going to have to tell them I have arthritis in my knee. So you said, I have questioned it. And that's what I'm questioning is like, really? You have? And so how are you going to recover if you've questioned that and you honestly and earnestly still believe it? So have you really questioned it? Have you? Or are you just holding on to it as if it's like, what do you get out of it? Think about this. That is just, I'm going to say it again, and I want you to hear it out loud. And you're going to be able to watch this, and you're going to hear yourself say it again. I'm just so embarrassed. If I date someone, I'm going to have to tell them I have arthritis in my knee. I mean, that's embarrassing. Let's think about this for a second. What is worthy?
Well, I'm not even going to date. I'm like done. I'm just like so. I can't.
Yeah, but those thoughts. So
years.
So
like,
so
my sex
so.
appeal is like gone.
So stop right there because that's a distraction. Go back to what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Is that really? You have to go into your heart and question these things. I can't do that for you. I can't go. I'm going to reach in her heart and pump it for 2 seconds.
No.
So that she feels how shitty that is. Like, who would want to sustain a belief like that? Who would promote it and sustain it and support it and hold themselves to it? That is a disgusting thought. To think that
is disgusting. And I've, this week I spent a lot of time thinking about it. Just, it really hit me in a deep level of like, well, wait a minute. Why would I? Because I kept finding myself, when I'm out, like I'm trying to like, if I see. I'm trying to like present something that's I'm trying to like stand up straighter or hold in my stomach or not lift so much, like be in public, like try to be cool in public, like hey, I'm cool lady, like hey, I got you. And then I'm like, that's not true.
Yeah.
Like I actually do slouch, I'm limping. And then I thought, well, what if I actually attracted someone by this fake persona? Sooner or later, they're going to see that I really slouch and look like shit in the morning and limp.
That's wisdom talking right now. Can I get an amen, Deary? That was awesome what you just said.
Yeah. Like
this
if
is the
that
truth.
was hitting,
I'm
that
lying.
was hitting me, even just trying to sit up straighter when a cute guy walks by. And I was just like, wouldn't it be, wow, maybe it's humanly possible that, and what I actually want is to meet someone who likes me.
Yeah, who isn't looking and micromanaging your posture.
Like, no, if you want a Barbie, there's plenty of Barbies in this town. Go find her. But if you actually want, so I kind of went through, like,
yeah.
I'm pretty nice. I'm fun to be with. I just had to, like, double check, like, a little checklist of what I have going for me. And it was like, I think I'm likable. And if you're looking for just the hot body and the hot thing, like how I can't just keep trying to like look younger, trying to present this persona.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not what I want to attract. So, I mean, I have absolutely, this week, that was was on my mind a lot. I was
That's
kind
huge.
of really pondering that.
That's huge. That pondering is where you're going to get big change. When you go in and question those things, recognize what you're doing. I'm like this part of this I'm like, I wish there was a heart button right now. Now that's functioning recovery right there. Like I'm trying to help you go, okay, that's what it should feel like. That's what it feels like. Do I want to attract someone who is micromanaging my posture to see if they like me?
Like I felt it. Like
yes.
I really felt it. Like this isn't even what. And I just could feel this secure, nice feeling of like a man that's my friend and like likes me.
I love it. So let's do this again, and we're going to do it with an arthritic knee. Keep in mind, this person, if they think that you're worthy of shame because you have an arthritic knee, the standard they're holding their body to.
Yeah.
It's interesting, right? Think about it. Do you really want to hold yourself to hold the body really to a standard that is not even close to reality?
I would never be safe. It would all be in danger.
You got it. And you're going to have to hide it, lie about it. You're going to have to fixate on it at all times. So what we're talking about is now health righteousness. This whole promotion of not just thinner supremacy, but the promotion of health supremacy. And this is what I was kind of catching on to this as you were talking. I was like, oh, she's in that health righteous zone of the perception of being healthy as
and just
superior.
being cool and sexy. It's like it's just like I'm getting more and more further booted out of. I know we've talked about the Cool and Sexy Club. Like, it's just more. I'm like, yesterday at World Market, I like saw these big ponchos that like go down past the knees. I was like, all you would see is my little head on top of the poncho. And I was like, I just was touching them and getting so happy. I'm like, why don't I just, call it a day, put on this gunny sack poncho and some tennis shoes and just big sunglasses, and it's the new me. I'm just a roly-poly. I'm not in the club, but I would be free.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like, go through the visual. Like, if you got hit by a car and you were stuck in a wheelchair, how would you feel about your arthritic knee?
Yeah, I mean, I was crying over my feet. My feet are like, my collapsed arch is.
Okay, just focus on the question I asked you. Just focus on what I asked you. What would happen if you got hit by a car and you are paraplegic? What happens to your whole health, righteous posture, sit up, touch your stomach in, like all of that pressure, right? They'll really feel this out. Like, I'm trying to get you go into this thought process. These thought processes actually really make a big impact because you'll get a sense of how ridiculous it is, not just intellect, but you'll go into, well, I wouldn't give a shit. Well, or would you? If you're what would happen to this whole entire concept of my role is in life is to find someone who's attracted to my body. Whether it's thinnerness, bootyliciousness, healthiness, like, what would happen?
Youth and
all of it. The whole fantasy world of body image, athleticism, whatever concept that you're supposed to be. What would happen to that if you were permanently in a wheelchair?
Well, I mean, it would be over. It would be gone. I'd be
that fast. What would it feel like to function in reality that way?
Good.
Are you just saying that, or are you actually feeling this out?
No, I just felt it. I would just be, it's like I'm in this in-between stage that it's like I've got it, it's like I'm being pulled. At least then it would just be done. Yeah, it's over. It's like
what I want you to
hold on.
Totally. What you're experiencing right now is the resistance to acceptance. So that's why you're still suffering, is you're still resisting reality, right? And all I'm saying is, okay, you're resisting. Well, and what you're resisting is your fear. So if you hold on to these fears, which you're assuming, you're making assumptions. They're not necessarily facts, right? But they are to your mind, so we can't negotiate. We have to go into your personal facts. Your personal, there's tons of people coming to the wall right now. The droves of people. It's your facts, right? Go into just accepting that fear. Once you accept that fear, what happens? What do? Let's just go through a step-by-step process. Feel this out. So let's just say that what you're fearing is inevitably true. Someone's going to shame you because you have arthritis.
They're not interested in me. They're going to reject me.
Yeah, totally. They're really going to feel you are a lesser human being because your knee has arthritis at 52. See, in my mind,
it's so obvious. It's my weight. It's so obvious. Look at her hobbling.
And you know what that means? That means she is a piece of shit. So not worthy. Her personality is like, we don't even want to know that, because we don't want to know anything about her, because she clearly is dumb, uneducated, doesn't want it enough, didn't try hard enough, can't handle it. She's inferior. And we're not even going, she's,
Or we have to point it out to her. Like, it's literally every person that I bring up my knee to is like, well, it's carrying all that weight. Well, people, it's like, my mom went on keto, the weight came right off. I'm like, why are you even bringing up weight? Like, I just said.
So here's the thing I would, in my thought process in that moment would be, I'd rather be 500 pounds and stuck in a wheelchair than to have to focus on shaming my own body.
Yeah, which is, again,
I'd rather
I was at work in front
lose
of like
my
5
leg.
people. This guy was very kindly telling me I need to do keto, and I just very kindly said
I've
that
done
dieting.
You've done
And
keto.
everybody got quiet. It was like a total moment. Like no one. I mean, it wasn't. They're all sweet. He was just trying to help, but and I was didn't. I was fine. I just was vulnerable. I just said, dieting's gotten me here, and but still, I walked away with the little. I noticed that I did have a little bit of like shame deep inside. Like I felt it just a touch.
So,
Like,
so that would come from, from what I'm aware of, that little bit of shame comes from the fact that you do still believe that it is worthy of shame. Like, so what you're not doing is recognizing the ignorance that they have.
Yeah.
Because you still believe in the same belief pattern. Once you surrender that belief, because you have a reality involved. So you brought to that. That's how I got this big. Is all of the freaking drama that to my brain and our wiring and our primitive way of being and what it does to your behavior with food, right? This is how I got here.
Yeah.
There is still in your mind the belief that even though you know all that, like you're aware of that you should still have been better. I still should have been better. There is something in there that believes I just don't. And I feel bad about it. I'm not good enough. I did fail, and I feel bad about it. So to me, being able to say, I can handle it. Like, clearly, if someone can handle living that way and loves obsessing about food, and that's all they talk about, good for them.
Yeah. I
have way too much spark, rainbows, and energy than to fixate it all on food. It's depressing, right?
Yeah.
Maybe so to admit, I can't handle it. I'm inadequate. Like my brain and body don't respond well to deprivation for whatever freaking lineage, DNA, like survival of the fittest, this is how I got here. That's the worst thing you could do in this situation, right? You're not recognizing how ignorant these people are. Like, if they knew the actual repercussions of just recommending keto.
Yeah.
The layers and layers of repercussions. Would they do it? No. But so you got to be able. So in that space, it's like it's hard to be able to go, oh, that's so sweet of him to recommend that. That's sweet. That's like saying I should go back to church and repent. Oh, maybe I need to pray more for my knee. That's really sweet.
I'd love to have asked him. I wonder if, has she kept the weight off, and how is she, is she happy? Is she, or is that just her full-time job?
Well, we both know what the truth is.
Yeah.
We both know what the real truth is. Really.
Like, she had an issue, and, she did the keto, and weight just came right off.
Well, sure. You could do that. That's easy. That's not hard.
I know. I wish I would have been like, dude, I know how to lose weight. Trust me, I've lost. I've been doing it for 25 years.
But you're still negotiating with him and trying to. You shouldn't. What I'm trying to get you to do is go, oh, you pat him on the head invisibly, and you're just like, that was really sweet.
Yeah.
He's fucking clueless. Like, woo, doesn't have a fucking clue what he's talking about.
I know.
But he means well.
Yeah,
so get the
that
essence
guy at all.
Right. And they're just clueless and brainwashed, and they have no concept of how it really works. And even if they're in it and they're struggling, and what they're not telling you is this person who's on keto is obsessed about it.
Yeah.
Okay. And they can't go out in reality. They cannot be around other food because they have these mechanisms. Every single human being alive has the same mechanism, right? It's predictable what's going to happen over the course of 3 years, right? Think of what happened to you with your HCG protocol, which is keto, by the way. It's just, you have to give them grace. But the problem is, I can give you that instruction, but how can you do that if you're nowhere close to doing that with yourself? Right? It's how do you, if you cannot do that within yourself, for yourself, with those, those belief patterns, you're still just won't let them go. You would let them go so quick if something real happened, like real bad. You would be so quick to let them go. right? But you're just holding on. And that gripping and just refusing to face it is prolonging your suffering, right? And there's good reason for it. So I truly feel this way. I really feel this way because I know you. I love working with you. It's fun, and I really want to help you. And I know this for a fact. When you are fucking done, you're going to look back and realize that all of this prolonged suffering was really important in the process for you. Like, it took all this extra prolonged suffering for you to really click, to go, I literally would rather get hit by a car, and I would not be a victim ever again. Like, there's going to be a flip. It's going to happen. And to me, some of the suffering is so important. Like, I think I've said this to you before. Everybody hears me post-recovery. If you saw the process of horror I went through and what it took for me to finally let this shit go, you would not be so, oh, she's amazing. You'd be like, why did it take her that much? That's narcissism. She was, willing to kill herself before she gained weight. What the fuck is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if I could give you a pill of how intense the pain and horror was, you'd go, oh, now I get it. But I can't do that. You have to go through this kind of readying, horrible process. And I know I've said this to you before, it might require you go on another round of the protocol just to lose weight, to find out.
I know. I'm ready. It's like, I've always hated when you say, you might need to go diet and you might need to suffer.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm
accepting that it's just going to take how long it's going to take. And I'm even willing to, if it means that I do have to go back to dieting, I don't want to keep saying it, but if that's what makes me recover, I'll do anything.
Right. Well, maybe that's what you need to do. You need to have the foresight to realize, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go on the protocol. I'm going to do it wholeheartedly. I'm going to prepare. I'm going to potentially gain all the weight back. And
I don't know if I can stomach. I'd rather do the protocol down the road when I'm people do it when they're healthy. I don't want to.
Hold on, but what if this hope you have to lose weight is going to be there until you fuck it up? Maybe you need another fuck up.
No, I don't really want to do that. That sounds so stupid. But then I do think about it. I'll be like, just going around, bitch. That's what you want to do so bad. Fucking do it. And then I'll just be like, eek. I don't want to.
Well, let's go through it seriously. Let's do this together. Let's do this really serious right now. Because I'm serious. I'm not over here playing a game with you.
I know you're not.
It might be so beneficial. It might be the best thing that you've done in the course of this. I mean, again, you're going to look back at some point and go, every fucking point of this process has been incredibly important. I wouldn't take back any piece, because at some point that piece would have had to been done inevitably for me to get to this place. Me kind of relapsing with the codependent boyfriend in my head. All of this shit was really important for you. Now getting to the point where, when are you going to accept your body and the inevitable die? You're going to die at some point. You are going to die. This separation between you and this body is going to happen. You going to complain about it when it happens?
No, I just hope I'm in my bed comfortable.
But, oh man, I mean, you're just setting yourself up to complain. Just saying. You don't have that choice.
No, I know. I obviously, I have these moments. Well, then the other thing I was thinking about a lot this week was along these lines, which was I just got this flash out of the blue and it hit me, and I had this thought that went, oh my God, what if everything that you're struggling with is a non-issue? What if none of this means anything? What if your body fat means nothing? What if you lose weight means nothing? What if you gain weight? What if it actually, seriously, what if Robin's right and this it's irrelevant and you're just on a hamster wheel of torment for no reason?
Refusing to accept it. Just refusing to accept it.
And
so,
I was like, oh.
I love what you just said. It's around 44 minutes. You're going to want to rehear that one again.
Yeah, those were my two like awarenesses that I just thought of a lot this week. Chewed on them, and
all of those to me sound like functioning recovery. You are on it, girlfriend. This is it.
Like it's like it's there, but then all of a sudden something will come up from within where it's just like, fuck you. You have to be pretty. You have to look good. You have to get up. You have no, and I'll just be like.
So here's what I want you to do: is when those come up, don't feel bad about it. Don't judge yourself for having those, because they're there. Yeah. That's the primitive mind brain. That's that part of the brain working perfect, right? Yeah. That's no different than my brain saying, in my head, you're gonna die if you gain that weight. Like, it was so irrational, but it felt so real, right?
Yeah.
Didn't matter how intellectual I was about the stupidity of that feeling. That feeling was so intense that I had to do what I had to do, like any person who's OCD goes weird shit, cleaning handles 50 times to get rid of that feeling, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you intellectually hear it and go, that's fucking dumb. Your feelings are what we're working with.
Right.
Right.
And that's what I want to be more real with this time.
Yes, and you're going to have a very rapid, so when those thoughts comes up, the question you ask is, can I accept it? Because it's going to send out threats. No one's going to love you. You're going to be alone. Everybody's going to think you're dumb. So the whole idea of, I have to keep my prettiest, is really covering up the threat.
Yeah.
Because prettiness in your mind has equated to, I'm accepted. I'm acceptable. So then the fear underneath that is what?
I'm not acceptable.
I'm unacceptable. So you have to go into your feelings of, can I handle being unaccepted? So so you go into, can I handle being unaccepted? That means you have to feel, to get a sense of it, you have to feel unacceptance. That might be where your block is. You're not actually allowing the feelings that you are scared of. You're hearing it, you're intellectualizing it, but you're not allowing it to come forward for you to actually question. So when I say you're not questioning it, you're like, yeah, I'm questioning it. Well, you are in this area of the brain, the frontal. You're not really allowing it to come forward because you don't want to feel it. Our whole wiring is to say, don't feel that. It's going to kill you, right? So feel what it feels like. Go through a mental process of feeling unacceptable. Let that feeling come forward. What does it feel like? Let's do this right now. When you're saying, I need to be thin. Well, what if you can't be thinner? What if it is impossible? That the reality you're in is it. You're not God. It's not going to get changed without more suffering. So if you don't want to suffer, what do you have to do? Accept it, right? Well, then if you accept it, that means I'm unacceptable. Unacceptable. Well, what does that feel like? Bring it forward. Embarrassment. Being ignored. You're going to feel ignored. No one's going to pay attention to you.
Oh, God.
Am I accurate in those?
Yeah, for me, it's like, I just think I just have flashes of, like, men in my life, and men that, like, think I, look great, and think I'm pretty, and think I'm sexy, and it's like, the truth, they're just gonna, it's...
Yeah, so you see what I mean by there's something here you're refusing to feel. So, in the way
I'm refusing to just let myself just be like, yeah, it's not enough just who I actually am. It just feels like that isn't enough. Like, you have to do these other things too.
So remove all that. Okay. So force yourself to feel that space. So your first inclination is to feel sorry for yourself. So that's a block, right? Do you see how that doesn't let you feel it? It's kind of like self-defense, really. It's like, no, I can't feel it. I can't do it. It's that's the sense I'm getting, is that once that unacceptance comes forward, your first response is to go, boo, hoo, no, it's far. You're still not feeling it. That's a defense mechanism. Feeling sorry for yourself is a coping mechanism. So don't let yourself feel sorry for yourself. So think of it this way. So here is the you're unacceptable. What would feeling sorry for yourself do? What does it do? What's the function of that?
It's distracting.
It is. I know for me, it was basically a way for me to justify continuing to do what I was doing. If you feel sorry for yourself, for me, I'm unacceptable, no one's gonna like me, I'm at a loss, I'm a loser, right? You're not really feeling lost, you're feeling sorry for yourself, right? That feeling sorry inevitably does what? Eventually, you're going to do what with that pity?
I don't know.
You're going to do what you want, which is to diet, right? Eventually, you're going to just feel that out. This is, I think, important for you to be aware of. I'm trying to get you to, I don't know how I'm going to verbalize this in a way that you're like, click, click.
Well, no, the feeling I keep, I don't know if it's this, just like this sick feeling in my stomach, in the pit of my stomach. It's like that, which I guess is fear and self-pity, and it's just
self-pity. Feel that out.
It's just like this panicky, like, and definitely, I mean, I was obviously struggling, like, feeling sorry for myself, but okay, I am.
So that's what I want you to focus in on now, is what inevitably will happen when your response is to feel sorry for yourself.
Well, I mean, I know that can make me compulsive.
Yeah, you're going to eventually do what you want to do. Yeah, that's like that's a way to deny it.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah. If I sit here and feel sorry for myself because I have to gain weight and I could easily go work out and I could easily do all that stuff, but I have to be fat, how long is it going to, I mean, eventually what's going to happen if I'm just sitting there feeling sorry for myself? What's going to eventually happen?
Well, for me, yesterday I had a very clear, I was like feeling sorry for myself about my knee, and it was just a hard morning and all that stuff, and I just had this thought go through my head, well, let's just eat something, like I definitely, food came up.
That's compensation because you're feeling sorry for yourself, but eventually.
And I just laughed, and I didn't. I was just like, oh God, that's the old tape. Like, I'm not going to go pig out right now. That's stupid.
So eventually, if you feel sorry about your weight and your knee, what is going to happen? I just wanted you to sit here until you figure it out. Feel it.
I'm going to gain weight. So,
no, don't worry about that. But because it's really about your behavior. Right? What are you going to do if you're feeling a pity party for yourself? Are you actually facing the loss?
Oh, no, I'm going to stay stuck. I'm not going to.
Yeah, you're rejecting it. You're saying it's not right. It's wrong, unfair, bad.
Yeah.
So are you really?
Yeah, it's like a block.
Totally. It is a self-defense mechanism. You're saying, no, I cannot accept it. Poor me, right? My life is bad. This is bad to me, for me. That's saying that's nowhere close to acceptance. You see how that's like a big block.
Yeah.
And eventually, what are you going to do? Because don't you agree, you're going to eventually want to get what you want. You want what you want. Right? Because you're not willing to let it go. You're still not accepting it.
Yeah, I would want to definitely would like to lose weight. Yeah. That's for sure.
Right. So eventually you're going to do it. So what does that mean? It means you're just going through another cycle.
Yeah.
So it's like you're going to sit in this spot until you stop feeling sorry for it. Don't let yourself feel sorry for yourself. So go into the unacceptability now. Like, what if it's true?
This is so stupid. It's so intense.
Bring it forward. Try to get an understanding of it. What's it feel like? Does it feel like no one's going to look at me? I'm going to be ignored. I'm not going to even be noticed.
Yeah, I'm not going to, all of it, I'm not going to be special. I'm not going to be superior.
All those things are like spotlights, right? I'm not going to have the spotlight on me. I'm not going to have the spotlight.
I mean,
so I'm going to be in the dark. I'm going to be in the dark, you know. Get a sense of it. Like, really, if you had to describe this to me so I can put it in a book, how would you describe the feeling that you have?
Well, just that I'm not enough, so I have to come up with more.
Okay, so go back to the I'm not enough. So what you just said is I cope. We already know that. So let that one go. Come back to what does it feel like if you were to do anything? Nothing was possible to be done. It's the truth. Do you see how you're saying that's not true? I'm denying it. So what if it's the truth? No matter what you do, what you're saying is truthful. You are inadequate. You aren't good enough.
It feels shocking. It feels like I need to sit down and be in shock about it. Like, it's stunning. It's shocking. I don't want to. It's hard to just sit with it for it to be real.
Well, what if there's nothing you can do about it? I mean, you can continue to deny. But isn't that denial? The ways of denial are kind of where your misery is. Even feeling sorry for yourself is a form of denial. So that is like horrible, right?
Yeah.
It feels like shit. So let's stop denying it. So look at the truth. This is like finding out that your boyfriend's been cheating on you. Do you really want to know? We need to find out, right? So go into that. We're going to sit here. We got 5 more minutes. Let's figure this out. Go into you're unacceptable. You're unacceptable. What is it that you're afraid to lose? The specialness, right? The spotlight. That's the spotlight, the pedestal. Look at me on the stage.
Just validation from people or just...
Okay, let's get that. And so let's say that's going to go away. People are going to turn their back and walk away from you. Or they're going to find out you're really not special. Because that's the thing. You need to expose that you're really not special. Right?
Yeah.
What if that's true? What does it feel like?
Well, it feels like a relief. It feels like the calm after the storm, like I don't have to fight anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels quiet.
So what does it mean in terms of like what you're going to do with the rest of this life? What do you do with it? Because you're not on center stage anymore, right?
Yeah. I can find my purpose.
Well, you can figure it out. You can change your purpose. Your purpose could be 50 fucking things. Who knows? I swear to God, my purpose changes every goddamn day.
Yeah. Well, I also this week I'm looking into joining this kind of writing program, and I had this great talk with the person that runs it, and it's something my agent recommended, and I just got this, after talking to them, it was like I was so excited and, to write and create and, doing it on my own, and I just had this flash of like, all of a sudden when I stopped and looked at all of these issues, it's like they really didn't mean, they just started shrinking immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, oh, maybe I need to get a life. Like, and I don't know, it just kind of felt excited I just loved the idea of like writing and being excited about something and using myself, me, not all this other shit. Just
well, and go into the joy of writing and versus writing could be my next big thing, and maybe that's my way to get to the front of the stage and I could be in the spotlight again.
Yeah, no.
Right.
Right.
Once you kind of are done with the stage and the spotlight and the specialness, and you're willing to just be like,
it's have fun to just write and tell my stories and just to have something come out of me like that. And I don't know, it just kind of shifted my perspective for a minute, that it's just like I'm just sitting around obsessing and worrying about all this. And it's,
what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do with your life?
Yeah.
This is like, do you really want the spotlight over something like your weight, your thinness, your prettiness? What has the cost been? Because that's what you've been pursuing. What has been the cost?
It's been very high.
Well, you've really given everybody else power over you. Because their opinion is what you're seeking. You know, you're seeking their approval with all this work. Would you really do this again, right? Would you really seek that approval? Because that's what you've had to let go to recover. That's what you have to let go, is approval. So backing out, like, what if you're not approved? So this little thing we just did over the course of the last 15 minutes, you need to do it again and again on your own.
Yeah.
Like surrendering it, face it, like, but don't let
build up the muscle.
Yeah, don't feel sorry for yourself, because that ultimately is the block. It's like you're basically saying, I'm denying it and feeling bad. I deny it's not going to happen. It's not going to be me. And you'll just sit there. That's like sitting in your own shit, complaining about the welts that your shit's creating on your ass, you know?
Yeah.
Eventually you're going to stand up and you're going to get what you want. And it's another cycle. And then it does go in circles. That's the other thing you should see. It does have a repeat cycle. And once you kind of see that too, what you realize is that until you accept what you don't want, you will go around in the same exact cycle again. And eventually it always gets back to right here. So even if you were to like say, fuck it, I'm going to lose this weight because I got to do it for my knee, and you're doing it right now, right?
Yeah.
You will go through another full cycle. You will. Because you'll lose some weight, you're going to be gratified, your knee's going to feel better because that's what you want to happen, blah, blah, blah. You're going to start doing the keto when you're going to, like, I'm just going to avoid those foods. And eventually what is going to happen is you will start binging again.
Yeah.
Eventually you will regain the weight back. And then where are you going to be at again? Right here. Right here. This spot. This is the spot that's the hardest for you. Right?
It is.
It was the hardest for me too. It's the hardest for everybody, to be honest with you. This spot right here. You know, it's so easy to diet. That's the easiest thing. That would be so pleasing, pleasurable, easy denial, quick. You could feel so euphoric right now.
I know yesterday I was like, what's the big deal? Like, you could actually, like, if you were a normal like, you could just go on a diet and lose weight for your knee. Like, why don't you just do it? You could just go on a diet. I just was like,
that's funny, because that's not how it really works, to be honest with you.
It's like, duh, just go on and just lose some weight. It's not a big deal. You just go on a diet like everyone else. And it was like,
and then you end up overeating like everybody else, and within the year to 2 years, you've gained all the weight back plus more. You just did all that.
You know, when they weighed me yesterday, you know, at the doctor, and I was sort of, you know, the scale, my scale and their scale is like a little bit off, maybe 5 pounds or something. But anyway, first she weighs me, and I was like up a little more than my scale, and I kind of went, oh, you know, then I immediately like, oh, well, my shoes are on and this and that. I kind of did that. And then I just kind of shook it off, like, who fucking cares? It's a number, like, fuck, who cares? Whatever, you know. So then I went in, and then I couldn't help myself but, like, peek over at the screen to see what I weighed last time I was there, which was in March. And I was literally only 1.5 pounds difference from March.
Yeah, you're the same.
Months ago.
Totally the same.
I mean, which to me, like, I know I'm not supposed to, but I just kind of that made me a little bit happy. Just like, God, normally in my life in 8 months I would have lost and gained at least 50 pounds easily, 50 to 60 pounds,
totally.
and been up higher 10.
Yeah, well, for sure. And the misery, and you know how, so people want to talk about what's unhealthy. There's so much out there to show that the rebound, losing weight and dieting and losing weight and gaining weight is so much harder than just being obese constantly.
Yeah, I was just kind of like, wow, well, there's this change. Like, that just, I don't know, that kind of, to me, I was happy that that's so amazing. In 8 months, all the things I'm eating, whatever I want, all the parties, all the out to dinner, all the drinking, all the fun, everything, and like the summer, the trips that I literally did whatever the fuck I wanted, and I'm literally within 2 pounds from last March is insane.
Well, there is something to say for the fact that no diet would have ever said you could your body would maintain itself under that circumstance. They've convinced the entire country that the only way for the body to just stay the same is for you to perpetually, permanently diet on keto, intermittent fast. You know, the layers of like ridiculousness, and you have to take all this
and overcompensate, and I'm not going to eat. You know, now like I fucked up all weekend. Now I better not do that, and that's like working at work with jars of candy around me. Like, I know.
So that's huge. That's always like to me, it's a big deal when the diet industry is basically seen as a scam. What a fucking scam. It's a scam.
It's such a scam. I can't even.
I know.
Burritos, nachos, margaritas, cake, candy, jelly beans, like anything I fucking want. I mean, I don't.
You don't binge anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I overeat. I overeat my dinners. Usually, like, you know, I'll make. And there are those moments.
So when you overeat, are you going to a 9?
Am I what?
On the fullness side of the hunger scale, are you going to a 9, an 8? What are you doing? Because overeating isn't black and white, right? There's a difference between a 7, there's a 7.5, there's an 8, there's an 8.5, there's a 9. 10.
So like 10 is if you're just super stuffed.
You need to be hospitalized. Your stomach's about to explode. You're gonna have to force yourself to puke. 9, you're sick.
No.
9, you're like.
Oh no. I mean, I would say.
Those are binge. That's like after a binge.
Yeah, no. Right? I would say if 10, my stomach's gonna explode. I would say like a 6 then.
So you're sated. You're full, but you're not like.
But I'm not. And over it'll be like the other night I made myself 2 delicious tacos for dinner, like tofu and veggies and cabbage and sour cream and salsa, and they were just incredible and gorgeous. And I, you know, thoroughly enjoyed them. Ate the first one, and then I stopped and I went, oh fuck, I'm satisfied and like a teeniest bit full. Like I don't need the second taco, and it's like, oh, it's gonna get soggy, it's gonna be fucked up. It's so good, fuck it, just eat it.
Oh yeah, so that's the victim. You just totally gave me a new victim story. It's gonna be soggy. So you ever listen to that?
Like, oh, what am I gonna do? This isn't gonna be good anymore. Like
victim. What do you get when you play the victim role? You get what you want. You wanted your second taco. I just want you to hear it. I'm just like.
And so then I ate the second taco, and then I was pretty full. Like I was like in a 6. You know, I was like.
So pause a second. This is a great example of asking. Okay, so you're gonna feel sorry for yourself. What happens if you refuse to feel sorry for yourself? What would have happened?
You
would have accepted the goddamn truth. You're not hungry. You shouldn't eat.
Like that's where my trouble was.
I know.
That happens so much.
That's why I'm repeating it. That's why I'm like, there it is. That's the cycle right there. You did it again. You do it with something like tacos. You just went through a victim for me cycle with a taco.
Yeah. Or just sort of like making it, like not being honest, saying,
yeah, you're lying.
I don't know what I would do. What am I going to
All right. So I want you to know this. This is the theme, and we're going to close this session off right now.
Okay.
Stop being such a liar. You're such a liar. That poor me victim role is liar. You are a liar, liar, liar.
Yeah.
Don't fucking complain when you are the biggest fucking liar.
I'm always lying when I eat, for sure.
So when you play the victim role, you need to know you're a liar, lying. You're lying to everybody else and yourself about something. So that's the theme. Until we talk again. You Fibby McFibber pants. Liar.
Oh, shit. Fibby McFibberPants. I would listen to that. Because I know I'm also Judgy Pants sometimes.
Totally.
I'll try to remember. Wait, you're doing that. You're being Miss Judgy Judge Pants.
Right? Fibby McFibberPants.
Oh, yeah, I definitely fib, and I struggle in those moments because I'm like, or I get scared, like, what, am I allowed to tell myself to stop? But then I
tell yourself the truth. Every time you play the victim role, you are a fucking liar, lying. Fibby McFibberPants, you are refusing to tell the truth. So I need you to, like, on some huge,
I don't want anymore.
It's in any area. This is just one spot. I guarantee you, every time you feel sorry for yourself, you are lying about something you do not want to admit. I do not want to admit that I'm not hungry. I do not want to admit that I might not be qualified for the job. I do not want to admit that I'm fat. I don't want to admit
that I'm fat. Yeah, sometimes I don't want to admit that I'm fat.
So you have to say, what happens if you're not allowed to fake it anymore? If you're not allowed to lie, what happens? Is it gets exposed. What happens when that's exposed? What happens if your being fat is exposed? What happens? What happens? I need you to, like, come on, like, just follow me right now.
I don't know what happens. I have to accept it.
Well, what happens when your fat is exposed? What's the first thing? People won't like me.
I get rejected. I'll be rejected.
Okay, so let's go into you're getting rejected. What happens? I'll be alone. Okay, so what happens when you're alone?
And I failed all the things
So what happened if you actually failed? You failed. Now what? It's the truth. You're telling the truth. You failed. What now?
I don't know. And I accept it. And it's just
then what does it feel like? You're right there. You're there.
Free.
Yeah. Well, do you feel that, or are you just saying that? You failed. It's been exposed. People left you. You failed, and it's true, and there's nothing to hide it. Now what?
Yeah, now I can be free and not have to be trying to hide it and lying all the time.
Oh my God, it's so liberating. It's like something deepens in your presence around, like, the pressure's gone. It's like, oh my God, I am fallible. And then you actually question. Now you're capable of questioning. Remember when I was like, you got to question those beliefs? Well, tell your goddamn self the truth first. Yeah. Once you expose the truth, now we can, like, should I even feel bad about that? Really? Is that really worthy of me hiding? If someone wants to judge me for that, that's fine.
Yeah.
But it's the truth. Your fallibility is exposed, right? So now do you have to be perfect?
Yeah, no.
Nope. So do you see how that works? Telling the truth is really, really awesome.
Yeah, I'll try to do that.
Oh my God, you're gonna really have fun watching.